Why
Question.
can't I achieve a high mark in my courses? What am I doing wrong? I write notes for all my courses and work on all the suggested practice problems. I review my notes before the midterm and leave the exam feeling disappointed because I didn't do well when I was prepared. The exam is nothing like the homework cause it's more complex with theory and technical questions which I can't seem to do well in. The highest grade I can achieve is AC with a couple of Bs in some easy courses. I can't study 24/7 cause I have work and other shit to do, but I put in so many hours trying to understand and learn the material. Am I dumb cause the homework seems simple but the exam is completely different? I'm writing this post cause I got a 40% on my physics midterm. I now have to score a high mark on the final exam only to get a C or a B if I'm lucky. I hate paying thousands on courses only to get C's or fail.
So you're doing the homework practice problems. That's good. That's a good first step. But it seems like you're solving them and you're saying that's easy and I solved them. So you're solving them for answers and you're not really studying, in my opinion, well enough for comprehension and understanding. I think that that's the next step you need to take. So not only are you trying to solve these problems, say, I got the answer, but you need to look at these problems and say, hey, what concepts in these problems do I need to understand? Do I understand all of the steps and the conceptual things that I needed to understand to get to the answer without referencing my book or without while using the same reference material that I got to? Like, what kind of things are these problems trying to teach me? That's what you got to think about. And what you can do is you can look at your past exams and say, okay, well, this is what the homework was about, and then this is what was tested on the exam. So I needed to understand this, this, and this, and this is just part of learning how to take engineering exams. Really, it's just part of it. So, for example, you basically kind of got to think ahead and say, what is my professor going to test me on? And you're like, well, if you're taking a um, a physics class and you're learning about um, acceleration and velocity and how those are related. You might have to apply it. You might be given an object that's flying in the air, and you have to figure out how it starts. Start brainstorming ways that you could be tested on these concepts that you're learning, and how that is what they're going to do is if your exams are anything like mine, you had like 40 different engineering homework problems that were related to that exam, and you have three exam problems. Three. So there's a lot of concepts that are going to get covered. So you're going to have to understand those concepts really well and how they interplay with one another to be able to be successful on the exams. You're going to have to figure out how to apply them together. So once my friends and I in my study group figured that out, that's when we started doing well on exams. So what we do is we find practice problems in the back of the book, not the recommended ones, the ones in the back of the book, the ones in the back of the section, the hardest ones that and it turns out that those were actually the exam questions, and other times they were very similar to the exam questions because those problems at the end of the section of the book of the practice problems, that's where you're having to really apply multiple things. So if you have access to past exams for that, like if the class traditionally has three exams, if you have access to past exam three, by for example, you could see what kind of questions are getting asked, but just reviewing your notes and looking at uh, the textbook, not going to be sufficient. Redoing homework problems is good, but you got to be able to redo them for complete understanding. Not just did I get the right answer, but did I completely understand every concept? And then then the next step is thinking of and doing practice problems that are similar to the kind of exam problems that your professor would make. So review your past exams, see, hey, what did they do? Oh, they what they did is we learned about this, this, and this. So they found a way to rope this, this, and this into one question. That's that's whenever you're going to take the next step in preparing for exams. So here's what this says. The cause of low grades is different for everyone, so I can't necessarily give you the one true solution to your problem. However, it sounds like maybe you could use some practice figuring out what's going to be on tests so you can study in advance. For example, one way to practice this skill is to go over old tests and try to notice patterns in the questions that you answered incorrectly. Once you've identified gaps in your knowledge, go back and review those topics, keeping an eye out for where and how they are presented in your lecture readings. That way, you'll know what to look for when you're preparing for the next test. It also can help to go to office hours So if you're not going to office hours, go to office hours and chat with your professor or TA about the topics that you got wrong on the test. It can be super helpful to have a human to bounce ideas off of while you're trying to understand theory and concepts. Finally, it really helps if you spread out your studying. Good one. Um, Graduate and tutor here. It sounds like you are more caught up in getting the right answer and not so much understanding the theory behind the math practice problems. If you're solving problems out of the book, go beyond what's assigned. Doing the harder problems, which are typically not assigned, can help drive the connection between what is being taught and applying the knowledge. Kind of like what I said. And lastly, the most honest answer I can give you is you're not learning the material. Anyone can complete the homework and look up the answers. In the math and science field, we have to do more than that. We have to find solutions. We have to do more than just find solutions. We have to understand what we are doing exactly. You have to do it for comprehension. The classes I did best in were the ones where homework was hard. We spent almost an hour on the problem, so we got used to seeking out methods to solve it, thus learning. Advice. Ask for help as soon as you don't understand something. I understand that professors are unfair, but all you have to do is pass their class. People did it without the internet and answers online in the past. We can do it too with much more resources available to us. So yeah, you need to one up your studying. And yeah, you have stuff to do, but you got to one up your you got to take your studying to the next level. Seriously. And you're going to be okay. But it's more than just doing the problems that are assigned. You really got to study for comprehension, and once you do that, then you'll find yourself succeeding. And the way you do that is by anticipating problems that are going to be on the exam. That's where you get to the next level. So, like, how is my professor going to ask me to string these concepts together by using an application in similar ways that they've done on past exams? That's what you got to do. So, and then doing practice problems that are related to that.
Chasing payments, still playing in the basement while I'm working on arrangements. They heard the kid in 50 countries, thank God that's amazing. But I'd rather thank Spotify, they put me on the station.